Last class we have seen the introduction to OpenACC or Open Accelerator as such. It was a joint venture by Portland Group, Corporation, Cray, NVIDIA, and CAPS. So they formulated APIs of application programming interfaces so that they can utilize the accelerator facility available onto the different variety of GPUs, including GPUs, so CPUs as well as GPUs as such. What is the benefit as such? Basically, they are using compiler directives. So, open or say OpenACC supported or non-OpenACC compiler, any compiler can be used for that matter, and a non-ACC compiler would just neglect the compiler directives and then compile the code sequentially or the normal compilation as such. So, whenever there is no um, usage of OpenACC hardware, whenever you have it, it fairly uses that. And again, we have three levels of parallelism. We'll discuss that again. So execution needs, and then threads, and finally the vector. uh, so why it was again the reasons were quoted fairly because of the portability, as well as whenever you use that, basically you can ask the programmer to develop a sequential code, and then he starts annotating it, and you put the usage of appropriate profiler and annotation, he can get to the most efficient parallel code for that matter, and hence it was used. So further standard development and other things, so you can go to the openacc.org and you can get there. So basically, as I stated, it is a directory-based program model, heterogeneous platforms, and tool to quickly adapt C, C++ Proton applications to GPUs. So most of the software engineers are working on this, and hence they can be easily shifted, or the learning curve with or technology mapping or the knowledge transfer is somewhat lesser whenever you compare to the other aspects of it. Basic concepts and pragma types. So pragma states something about, so this is not a normal say construct of a C language or the Proton language or whatever the language you are using. So compiler has to refer to the pragma, so OpenACC, OpenMP, so from which that constructs have been taken, and they have to refer that and then make it happen. We'll see simple examples, some say matrix multiplication, whatever you have looked so far from the beginning of this syllabus as such is illustrated again in terms of OpenACC. Okay. What OpenACC provides? So it provides application interfaces, so or many constructs, so that compiler directives can be utilized to compile it for parallel development. So there are library routines and environment variables. These are provided by the OpenACC as such. So what are the languages it is supporting right now? Fortran, C and C++ programs are the languages. It gets executed into accelerated devices, including GPUs and CPUs. So you can use a multi-core CPUs or basically heterogeneous computing for that matter. So whenever I say heterogeneous, invariably homogeneous may also be included. Yeah, rather, even though I can say that there is a separate library or OpenMP standard is available for that, but OpenSSE, if possible, it also supports the GPUs and CPUs, or the only homogeneous computing kind of stuff. So pragmas provide extra information, so how the code has to be compiled. So hash pragma is a directive. So compiler, whenever it sees that, and then it sees that how following code has to be compiled will be looked after by the compiler as such. So it provides some hints for the compiler how the further code has to be compiled. Not specified in the language. So as we have stated, it is outside the language, and hence the compiler directions. So OpenACC compiler and non-OpenACC compiler, that's where we bifurcate them. So hash pragma, and if it is OpenACC compiler, we will have that ACC and then constructs whatever they are using. That information will go over here. How it gets compiled, and basically, so host machine and host memory and device memory and device and device memory. As we have stated, there is no strict bifurcation or memory fencing available. Host memory is different and device memory is different. So as in case of CODA, whenever you say that constant memory, shared memory, and there is a proper memory fencing was available, and that is not available in terms of OpenACC. Only 4 can join is available, and that too. So device speaks with respect to device memory, and sharing is not so much appropriate. So there is a weak memory definitions as such. So OpenACC directives. So what are the normal or the basic types he has stated? Say whenever you start in learning any processor for that matter. How do you bifurcate the instruction set? So data transfers, arithmetic, logic, and so on. So similarly, so initially the data movements across the devices, say host to device and device to host. Whenever I'm calling device, it may be GPU or any other CPU as well. So AC data copy in and copy out are the so constructs that are available, and what is the advantage you are getting by them? So the same stuff, whatever your um, malloc, copy from host to device, and compute and device to host. Say copying, so malloc and then copying, and then at the end of the code the freeing of that constructs. So all is done by that copy in directive. So it's a job of compiler rather than the programmer. Kuda, so programmer is well aware, or he is implicitly stating that, or he is explicitly stating that what the code should execute. So what's the portion sequential when you are transferring the data, and when it is entering the parallel mode, and after the parallel mode when it has to come back. Now somewhere there's a delegation of jobs. So whenever I'm saying copy in and copy out, so by your malloc and the data copy, everything has taken care by the compiler, OpenACC compiler. So AC parallel is state that after this construct, so whatever the in these braces, they get executed in parallel. So depending upon the gang or the how many devices are available, so redundantly this piece of code, so whatever comes in this braces gets executed. Optimized loops, whenever you say that I don't want to redundantly execute, and this portion of code has to be executed on different threads or devices for that matter. So now the loop construct, so for every I value, the zi xi plus yi is executed on different threads or the devices for that matter. So there is a loop construct, so that's a repetition. ACC parallel just makes the same code to execute on all the devices. Now real parallelization has to be exploited, then you go for the ACC loop. So gang vector, so basically number of gangs, number of workers, and number of vectors are the constructs which will be stating something similar to your grid, then block, and finally the WAPs as such. So vector is WAP computation, what is indicate over there. How do we justify whether it's the development is simple whenever, or the sequential whenever then you start annotating it for parallel compilation as such. Basically whenever you look into this course, it's simple matrix multiplication. Just forget about this compute ACC, pragma, and aspects. So this is simple matrix multiplication code. Say for I is equal to, so there is a row and columns, and there is a 3 for loops are there. They are iterated, and finally so you multiply them and go on summating, so that row elements are multiplied with the column elements, and then they are summated to get the final results. That's what is being done as per the normal sequential development of the code. So whenever you ask for matrix multiplication, this is code anybody would write. So once you have written this, now come back to the pragma parts. So what you are passing, so you want to go for a matrix multiplication, so this is an output vector which holds the result of a matrix, of the resultant matrix. So M is M and N are two matrices, and their what is it, order. So rows and columns are indicated by MH, MW, and NW. This is same. So this is normal function as such, which it is following. So whenever you just included hash pragma, so these bolded lines are constructs from OpenACC. If I say that this is a neglect in this part, so that means you can execute it as sequential. So whenever you add that, what happens? So ACC parallel loop. So that means this iteration of, there are I instances of this for loop has to be created, and they have to be executed. And that is what is meant by parallel loop. So copy in and copy out. So basically the contents of because these are the host machine has the elements of matrix. Now they have to be copied from the host machine to the device. So copy in and copy out, so you have to malloc onto the other device. So you are totally unaware of the memory architecture of the device memory as such. So similar same is true even in OpenACC, but now what is happening is it is the job of the compiler. It takes care of that mallocing and copying from host to device and device to a host. Say copy out, device to host, and the same constructs as in case of CUDA. Now it is not your job as such. So parallel loop, So copy in, copy out, these are the constructs. So suddenly we are jumping something similar to your uh, what is it, C book. So you start with the program, not with the constructs as such. So temperature from degree Celsius to Fahrenheit or Fahrenheit to degree Celsius. What is it? Ritchie book. So something similar kind of approach is followed in this particular slides, because it's just an introduction of OpenSCC of uh, one chapter to introduce OpenSCC in terms of massive parallel processing as such. Okay. Now, whenever I say hash pragma ACC loop, so this construct, so J iteration of there are so whatever the NW variants of J have to be created from, so they go in parallel. So they are executed on different devices. So iterating, computing that. So k is equal to 0, whatever the stuff as such. So the same stuff he is explaining. The code is identical to the sequential code version. So you write the same code, you are except for the two pragmas, they are annotated after you write the code. So you start foreseeing the which part of the code can be executed in parallel. For that, the profiling construct of a compiler or whatever the development environment you are using will come handy. So use them and then again compare the results. Then you can write a faster code for that matter. So what it is doing, so as we have stated, tells the compiler to execute I loop lines 3 to 14. So whatever immediately comes after this. Anyway, it's a for loop. Otherwise, we would have inspected for the braces as such. So because of this is a for loop and this for loop say 3 to 13, so that entire stuff has to be executed in parallel on accelerator. So it depends upon the devices. Right now we are not stating something similar to the how many grids, blocks, threads, and all that stuff. Now it is a job of the compiler. It will look into the feasibilities of so in OpenSCC we normally call them as a number of gangs, number of workers, number of vectors. So that is sorted by the OpenSCC compiler itself, and it makes it happen. So copy in and copy out specify how matrix data should be transferred between memories. So again, as we have stated, malloc and memory to host memory to device memory or device memory to host memory, that will be again taken care by the OpenSCC compiler as such. Sorry. So SCC loop is another construct. So loop is a construct. Basically, parallel was a construct and loop is another construct. So whenever you include loop, then the different instances. So if you skip loop, it is a parallel. The same piece of code below that, whatever it is there, is executed on all the gangs, on all the devices. So loop tells compiler to map J loop lines 5 to 13 to second level of parallelism. So that means whatever this iteration says line number 5 or the 6 to this iteration for loop that will be executed in parallel. Okay. Motivation: one version of a code. OpenSCC programmers can often start with a sequential version of code so that you can directly jump into writing a code with respect to specifications. So then start identifying the parallel constructs of the pieces, kernels. So start annotating their programs with the directives and then check with respect to the computation speed as such. So leaving most kernels details in transfers. You need not worry the details, or there is a most kind of abstracting is happening in terms of OpenSCC compared to the CUDA. It is normally or the highest level of job is delegated to OpenSCC compiler as such. What is the advantage? So you can have OpenSCC compiler as well as non-OpenSCC compiler. Whenever you are working on the non-OpenSCC compiler, the pragmas are just neglected. So you just have the sequential execution of the code as you were getting earlier. Now he goes back to the market and checks the reality. So basically what is happening is it can be difficult to write a code. So basically again you want to alter it. So how many lines code you have, and is it really feasible to annotate all the stuff? So but feels simple because you have a framework or skeleton ready, because you have a sequential code as such that works correctly and well with without pragmas. So Without pragmas, no issues as such, because you are writing a sequential code, but you want a constraint code, or you want to have a more speed behavior, then you have to use less pragmas. But what is happening in the market, across the devices, the non-OpenSSE may behave differently or incorrectly, because it's again, the compiler may not support that, or the may interpret that as something else, and it is changing the behavior of the code if the pragmas are ignored. So OpenSSE not a problem. Non-OpenSSE, yes, they have to see. Some OpenSSE programs are hints to OpenSSE compiler. That means it may take, or it may ignore the hints as such. So whenever I say that a number of threads or gangs and other things, you are saying that uh, we are saying that it's a portable code. You are today you are working on NVIDIA GPU Tesla, next day Fermi, or any other uh, GPU available. So whenever you are making that happen, there were APIs available for you in terms of CUDA get device details, or the OpenCL. You were able to again get the device details. There were some APIs for that, and now it is the job of the compiler. You need not worry about that. It will make it happen. Otherwise, whenever you are aware, so you can create your own construct by stating the number of gangs and number of workers and so on. So both the kinds of facilities are available, but most often it is delegated to the what is it, OpenSSE compiler. So whenever I saying that, it's I rely upon that, stating that who is doing it, it's compiler. Who is doing it, it's compiler. That's what is happening. So this is execution model. Yesterday we have discussed it. Basically three levels of parallelism. So execution units, so then threads, and finally the vectors. So vectors are warps, and the execution units is the number of say, blocks of the, then finally the grid, so array of blocks. Current OpenLMS does not allow user-specified synchronization across threads, so there is no proper memory fencing available as in case of CUDA devices that was available. Shared memory, constant memory, that is not available in terms of OpenSSE device models. Only 4 can join, that is specified. So what is stated is, whenever you create a parallelism, so basically gangs and works are created. So gang of workers, so number of gangs, how many blocks you are creating, so then number of workers within a gang, and finally the vectors. So there is a SIMD architecture, or the single instruction multiple data architectures. So how many computations happening per instruction. So that's how the memory model or execution model has been defined as that. Okay. Parallel versus loop constructs. So as we have stated, parallel is whatever is below this parallel construct. Pragma is parallel. Whenever I write that, if I skip this loop, the same code is a repetitive or redundant code is executed on all of the available devices. If you just include a loop constructs, so what is happening is so instances, so i0, i1, i2, or whatever the till m, so all the devices will have different instance of that code, and they get are executing that particular stuff as such. Okay. Here's writing the same stuff. One, he's using parallel AC parallel and loop, and he's writing it parallel, and he's executing the I instances of that particular loop onto different devices. Okay. So a parallel construct is executed on accelerator. One can specify number of gangs and number of workers in each gang. So he says that number of gangs, if there are 1024 gangs can be created, and each gang can have 32 workers in it. So whenever you write this construct, so he is giving an example of a piece of code here. Say he is assigned to 23. So now what is happening is 1024 gangs of 32 workers each will be created, or so many workers will be created. Each will be executing the same stuff. A is equal to 23 will be executed redundantly by 1024 gang leads. So what he is conveying is basically so many workers, 1024 into 32 workers will be created. But execution, whenever it happens, unless you create that loop construct, so every instance will be different. So if you are utilizing parallelization at the highest level, you are not doing that, then only gang leaders only one thread in that particular gang will be executing that particular stuff. So A is equal to 23 or whatever the piece of code is executed by that particular stuff as such. What does each gang loop do? Basically, you had a number of gangs. The for loop will be redundantly executed by 1024 gangs because the gang number is 1024 and the iteration you want to execute is 2048. In spite of that, you have only 1024 gangs as such, and whenever you assign a parallelization with respect to this aspect, now 1024 I'm not he is not specifying the number of workers within each gang, so neglect that part. Even 1024 are executing, or only the gang leaders will be executing this piece of code. Forget about the remaining 31 workers as such, if I assume that there are 32 workers per gang as such. So loop is redundantly executed by 1024 gangs. Whenever you instruct or start using the loop for gang, now 2048 iterations of for loop will be divided into among 1024 gangs. So that means maybe you are using two workers, or two instances will be executed, or two iterations per gang will be executed, so that you can attain that parallelization required. 2048 instances will be different. Okay, so here I am stating that I0 instance, I1 instance, when I is equal to 0, I is equal to 1. So every piece of code with respect to assignment of I is executed on different devices as such. So that is the advantage of the loop construct compared to the parallel construct. Parallel construct creates redundant copies with respect to gangs. If you are not mentioning it, whatever is available or suitable for in the runtime, that is assigned by the compiler. So worker loop. So you can specify number of gangs as well as number of workers within a gangs. So whenever you loop, so pragma loop workers, what has happened is 1024 gangs, each of 32k. So 1 million, how does it come? 2048 into 512, that is 1 million. Now you are creating 32 instances of this particular function which has to be executed parallelly. So that's how it is executed. So whenever you how or why we are dividing by 1 million, so what was the intention? 2048 into 512. So you want to have that that many computations of that particular function as such. Now because of the parallelization you want to exploit, so you have created number of gangs and number of workers. So number of 1024, 32 and 32. So whenever you divide that, so 32 instances of foo are created, and hence you can achieve the speed up whatever you want to achieve. So more complex example, pragma number of gangs 32. Whenever you statement 1 and 2 are redundantly executed 32 times, because here you are using only parallel constructs, and this for loop is using, so that whatever the statement 3 and 4 are spread across the 32 gangs as such. Okay. So kernel constructs are descriptive for the program suggestions. 1 minute please. So what is meant by there is a prescriptive and descriptive. Basically, whenever you say that descriptive, it is up to the compiler to decide upon whether to take that or not to take that. Whenever you say that you are prescribing something, so that you are compelling the compiler to use whatever you have prescribed, that is called as a prescriptive kind of coding. So intentions and suggestions. And again he starts using there are more constructs, where for that you have to refer to the open ACC manual, or for that matter. So once again he has taken one more parallel constructs reduction. We have seen already in terms of open say what is it, CUDA as such. So plus sum, so because each iteration of the loop adds to the variable of sum, we must take a reduction. So reduction is basically 2 at a time, and then finally we have seen that so extremities or neighboring elements has to be added, and how many iterations you compute that. You may return slightly different result than a sequential addition due to the floating point limitations. Again, this is with respect to the consistency model. So floating point may not be associative for that matter. So C++ and Fortran constructs we have seen already in terms of the previous chapter. So how it is written. So just observe the construct how they are being used. So this completes your Open ACC chapter as such as per the syllabus or whatever was available. So I hope any doubts please get back to me um, or write in your classrooms streaming as such. Okay, thank you.